Zurubang, Ultimate Battle Royale of everything and more. Battle 5. Act 1. The arena opens. A sound like 1,000 glass marbles rolling down a crystalline staircase into the belly of a sleeping giant. The arena dome shimmers into existence. The biome materializes, a surreal forest where every tree trunk is perfectly cylindrical, every leaf orbits in spheres, boulders sit like enormous marbles, and even the grass grows in neat circular tufts. Moonlight filters through canopy gaps that form perfect O's overhead. Zurubang unfolds all 4 golden arms in greeting, his eyes twinkling with barely contained glee. Welcome, beautiful maniacs, to a battlefield where geometry had one job and became pathologically obsessed. Tonight, 8 warriors discover that in the forest of round shapes, only the sharpest edges survive. Millions of spectators roar from every dimension. Zurubang's voice booms across reality. Welcome, our 8 contestants! F tier! From the human world, Mr. Bean, the man who weaponized awkwardness, Teddy's bodyguard, professional disaster catalyst. Mr. Bean walks in already taking photos with a disposable camera, treating the arena like a tourist attraction. D tier, from the Pokémon universe, Piloswine, the hairy freight train, Ice Age's angry survivor. Eyes probably exist somewhere. Piloswine charges in snorting, shaggy fur swaying, tusks gleaming. It stops, sniffs the air, sniffs again. It has no idea where it is. C tier, from the Spyro the Dragon universe, Spyro, pint-sized purple pyromaniac, headbutt enthusiast, rescuer of probably too many dragons. Spyro glides in, lands with a confident little strut, and immediately sets a patch of grass on fire just because he can. He's small, he's purple, he's ready to headbutt something twice his size. From the My Neighbor Totoro universe, Totoro, the forest spirit who naps competitively, fluffiest entity in any reality, bus summoner. Totoro materializes slowly, like a dream remembering itself. He yawns, a yawn that echoes across dimensions, and blinks at the arena with gentle curiosity. Several audience members immediately start crying. They don't know why, it just feels right. And our last C tier from the John Wick universe, it's John Wick, the Baba Yaga, pencil philosopher, retired until he wasn't. John Wick walks in, just walks. No flourish, no speech. His bulletproof suit is immaculate. B tier! From the My Hero Academia universe, Ochaco Uraraka, Gravity's girlfriend, float cancel assassin, deceptively deadly sweetheart. Ochaco bounces in with a cheerful wave, pink cheeks glowing. A tier, from the Masters of the Universe, Skeletor, Eternia's most fabulous overlord, skull-faced drama emperor, Havoc staff grandmaster. Skeletor appears in a burst of dark energy, cape billowing dramatically. He poses. He always poses. The Havoc staff crackles with power. His skull face somehow conveys smugness. Finally, an arena worthy of my magnificence! And our last A tier, from the One Piece universe, Roronoa Zoro, the pirate hunter, 3-sword style demon, directionally challenged monster. One of the most dangerous swordsmen in any anime reality, capable of cutting through steel, stone, and supposedly impossible things. Act 2. Perception of the fighters. Zoro draws one sword slowly, his single open eye scanning the competition. The skeleton with the staff, magical, strong. That energy feels like it could level buildings. His gaze shifts. The suit guy has killed before, recently, often, a slight grin. This'll be interesting. Skeletor surveys his opponents with theatrical contempt, though his strategic mind catalogs genuine threats. The swordsman radiates danger, perhaps He-Man's equal in raw combat. The floating girl has potential. The rest? His skull face twists into something resembling amusement. Fodder. Ochaco clenches her fists, floating slightly on instinct before catching herself. Two A-tiers, the swordsman and the skeleton wizard both feel wrong, like the air bends around them. She eyes the round boulders scattered everywhere. Stay mobile, use the environment. Mr. Bean blinks, looks at his watch, looks around the impossible forest, then checks his watch again as if that might explain things. He mutters. A four-armed golden deity floats overhead. A giant furry creature the size of a little car is sniffing a spherical acorn. A skull-faced wizard is cackling about eternal domination. Mr. Bean's face slowly spreads into a serene smile. What a cool dream this is! He breathes in deeply through his nose, a long, satisfied inhale of pure contentment, closes his eyes, and nods to himself with the quiet joy of a man who has finally, definitely lost all obligation to understand anything. John Wick's eyes are tracking Zoro's swords, Skeletor's crackling staff, the floating girl's stance. The two A-tiers are beyond him. He knows this immediately. Survive, wait, opportunity. Spyro flares his nostrils, violet scales gleaming. All right, Boneface, Sword Guy, you both look tough, but I've beaten bigger. Piloswine snorts, shaggy fur bristling, entirely unclear if it understood anything but sensing that battle means battle. Totoro blinks his enormous eyes placidly, already distracted by another perfectly spherical acorn. Act 3. The Dead Don't Die. May the ultimate battle royale begin! Skeletor wastes no time. He rises 30 feet into the air, Havoc Staff blazing with accumulated dark energy. Fools! You stand before Skeletor, rightful ruler of Eternia. Kneel or be obliterated. The blast he unleashes is no mere beam. It's a sweeping wave of destruction that tears through a dozen spherical trees, vaporizes boulders, and forces half the combatants to scatter desperately. Ochaco launches herself skyward. Spyro dives left. John Wick rolls behind cover that immediately explodes. Piloswine tanks the edge of the blast, its thick hide smoking but holding. Only Zoro moves forward. 36-pound Phoenix! The compressed air blade screams upward. Skeletor teleports sideways, reappearing 50 feet away, and the attack carves a canyon through the forest behind him. Impressive! Skeletor's skull grin widens. Finally, an opponent worthy of... Zoro is already airborne, having launched himself off a disintegrating tree trunk. 3 swords drawn, the killing intent radiating off him makes lesser fighters stumble. Santuryo Onigiri! Skeletor's barrier catches the first 2 slashes. The third cracks it. He teleports again, breathing hard, a sensation he hasn't felt since battling He-Man. You are annoying! Dark lightning crackles from his staff as he says the last word, forking across the battlefield in 6 directions. Zoro cuts through 3 bolts, dodges 2, takes the 6th across his shoulder. Blood sprays. He doesn't slow down. Below the A-tier clash, war rages among the survivors. John Wick has engaged Spyro, a calculated choice. The dragon is dangerous but predictable. Fire breath streams past as Wick sidesteps with millimeter precision, throwing knives forcing Spyro to stay mobile. Hold still! Spyro charges, horn first. Wick pivots, catches the dragon's momentum, redirects him into a spherical boulder. Crack! Before Spyro can recover, Wick's knee meets his jaw. The little dragon staggers. All right, suit guy, you've got moves. Most people realize too late. Spyro's eyes narrow. Then he grins and unleashes his electric breath. Wick conculves, muscles locking, and Spyro's follow-up headbutt sends him crashing through a circular shrub. The assassin rises slowly, smoking, one arm hanging wrong. Cool move. Thanks. Now hold still while I... Piloswine barrels between them, having locked onto Spyro's heat signature. The mammoth Pokemon's earthquake attack ripples outward, cracking the geometric ground, toppling both dragon and assassin. Ochaco sees her moment. She touches 3 falling boulders, then 5 more, then a chunk of destroyed tree. Zero gravity activates. The debris field rises, orbiting her like a personal asteroid belt. Release controlled! She's learned. Instead of simply dropping them, she directs them. 2 at Piloswine, 3 at the recovering Spyro, the rest held in reserve. Piloswine takes a boulder directly to the skull, staggers. Spyro dodges 1, takes the second in the wing. Ow! Hey, that's cheating! It's a battle royale. Meanwhile, Mr. Bean has wandered to the exact center of the battlefield. A boulder explodes nearby. He flinches dramatically, throws his hands up in an exaggerated explosion gesture. Pchow! Then shivers with theatrical terror. He waves it off with a dismissive chuckle, straightening his tie. Another explosion, same routine. Flinch, gesture, tremble, laugh. He's treating Armageddon like a fireworks display. Totoro looms beside him, equally unconcerned, sniffing a spherical flower with genuine delight. A stray bolt of Skeletor's dark lightning arcs toward them. Mr. Bean's eyes widen. He actually considers being concerned. Then, with the survival instincts of a man who has avoided catastrophe his entire life through sheer cosmic accident, he steps neatly behind Totoro. The lightning strikes the forest spirit square in the back. Totoro blinks, absorbs it, makes a small sound of mild displeasure, then returns to his flower. Mr. Bean peers around the massive furry shoulder at the smoking impact point. His expression shifts. The theatrical fear drains away, replaced by something genuine. This might actually be real. His legs do a panicked little shuffle, left, right, searching desperately for cover. He settles for crouching behind Totoro's ankle, clutching Teddy to his chest. The Ghibli fans are torn between protecting their son and laughing themselves sick. Skeletor and Zoro have carved a path of destruction across half the arena. The sorcerer's teleportation is keeping him alive, but Zoro's observation hockey is tracking each reappearance faster and faster. Cuts accumulate on Skeletor's arms, his torso, his staff arm. Non-fatal, all adding up. Enough! Skeletor rises higher, staff raised overhead, dark energy coalescing into something massive. If I cannot defeat you with precision, I shall unmake this entire arena! The attack builds, a sphere of annihilation that warps light around itself. Zoro sheathes 2 swords, draws them, settles into stance. Santo you! Oogie! Skeletor hurls the sphere. Sanzen Sekai! 3,000 worlds. 3 massive slashes spiral outward, intersecting, multiplying, becoming a tornado of cutting force that meets the sphere of annihilation head-on. The collusion is blinding. Reality screams. When vision returns, Skeletor is falling, his staff shattered, his robes torn, a deep X carved across his chest plate. He crashes through the canopy, impacts hard, struggles to rise. Impossible! He reaches for magic, finds it flickering. I am Skeletor! I do not yield! Zoro lands before him, blade at his throat. You're strong, the swordsman acknowledges. Strongest opponent in this arena besides me. But you rely too much on power, not enough on the blade. Skeletor's empty eye sockets blaze with defiance. If you think this is over, it is. One cut. Skeletor, eliminated by Roronoa Zoro. Millions rise to their feet, applause thundering across every reality. This is what they came for. Skeletor rises to the constellation, skull still somehow sneering. Below, the battle has shifted. John Wick, burned, arm dislocated, but still moving, has cornered Spyro against a cluster of spherical boulders. The dragon's wing is damaged. He can't fly. You fought well, Wick says quietly, for what it's worth. Yeah, well, Spyro draws a deep breath. You haven't seen my super flame! The blast is enormous, far beyond his normal fire. Wick dives, rolls, catches the edge of it. His suit ignites, his skin blisters, but he keeps moving. His thrown knife takes Spyro in the throat. The little dragon's eyes widen. He tries to speak. Can't. Spyro the dragon, eliminated by John Wick. The crowd offers a moment of silence as the purple hero rises to join the constellation. Wick collapses to one knee, extinguishing his burning jacket. He's barely functional, but he's alive. Ochaco has been systematic. Piloswine, battered by her gravity-launched debris, finally succumbs to be a concentrated barrage of boulders dropped from 60 feet. Piloswine, eliminated by Ochaco Uraraka. She floats down, breathing hard, surveying the field. Zoro's the biggest threat. Wick is injured. Totoro hasn't attacked anyone, and Mr. Bean? Mr. Bean is laying on the ground, motionless, dead, his tongue out. Then he raises his head, looks directly into her eyes, makes a tiny strangled eep sound, and flops back down with exaggerated rigidity, arms crossed over his chest like a corpse in a cartoon funeral. One eye cracks open to check if she's still looking. She is. He squeezes it shut harder, committing fully to the performance. Okay, she mutters. Strategy time. She launches herself toward Wick, the wounded target. He sees her coming, tries to rise, but his body finally betrays him. Her palm touches his shoulder, zero gravity. He floats helplessly. Sorry, she says genuinely. You were really impressive. I know. She releases him from 40 feet. The impact is decisive. John Wick eliminated by Ochaco Uraraka. The crowd roars as Baba Yaga rises to the constellation form, finally at peace beside the others. Act 4. Endgame. Remaining fighters. Roronoa Zoro. Shoulder wound from lightning, minor cuts, barely winded. Ochaco Uraraka. Fatigued from quirk overuse, nauseous, still fighting. Totoro. almost unharmed, currently napping against the spherical tree. Mr. Bean, still acting lifeless, squeezing his eyes shut so hard it hurts. Zoro turns to face Ochaco. She knows the math. B tier versus A tier. He just defeated Skeletor. She's exhausted from eliminating Wick and Piloswine. But Uraraka Ochaco doesn't give up. "You're incredible," she says, settling into her combat stance. "But I'm not going down without trying." Zoro's expression softens slightly. "Good. That's the right attitude." She launches debris at him, everything she has left. Boulders, tree chunks, even the spherical flower Totoro was sniffing. Zoro cuts through all of it, walking forward, steady. Ochaco touches herself, floats upward, tries to get above him. "Flying Dragon Blaze!" The ranged slash takes her from the sky, not fatal. Zoro pulled it, but enough. She crashes down, tries to rise, can't. "You've got potential," Zoro says, standing over her. "Train more, get stronger, we'll fight again." "Promise?" "Yeah." His sword taps her shoulder, gentle, acknowledging. Ochaco Uraraka eliminated by Roronoa Zoro. The MHA contingent cheers despite the loss. Their girl went down swinging against the demon swordsman. Lida would be proud. Deko would be crying. Bakugo would be screaming about how he'd have done better. 3 remain. Zoro walks toward Totoro, who has woken from his nap and is watching with curious, gentle eyes. "You're not going to fight, are you?" Totoro tilts his massive head, then slowly opens his umbrella. Rain begins to fall, soft, warm, impossible inside the dome. The forest spirit smiles. Zoro sheathes his swords. "I won't cut down something that only wants peace." He turns to Zurubang. "Zurubang, can we agree that I would win this?" And Zurubang nods with approval. Totoro, eliminated by mutual honor. Totoro waves with one enormous paw, then dissolves into warm, golden light, rising up to the star constellation. Zoro turns to Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean is flat on his back, Teddy clutched lovingly in his arms. His mouth hangs open. A snore rips through the post-battle silence, loud, rattling, completely unbothered. He fell asleep while playing dead. "Seriously?" Zoro walks over. Mr. Bean blinks groggily, yawns, stretches, and finds himself staring up at a blood-soaked demon swordsman with 3 blades and the eyes of a man who has cut battleships in half. For one perfect moment, their gazes meet. Mr. Bean's eyes roll back. His body goes limp. Teddy tumbles from his grip. He faints with such theatrical completeness that even the unconscious Ochaco would have been impressed. Zoro stares down at him. "I'll take it." Mr. Bean, eliminated by Roronoa Zoro. Technical surrender. The British comedy section applauds politely. Act 5. Victor. Zoro walks through the fading gateway, already planning his next nap. The forest of round shapes collapses into dimensional foam behind him. High above, Zurubang watches the swordsman leave, all 4 arms folded thoughtfully. "A warrior's warrior," the golden god murmurs. "He showed mercy where mercy was due, and steel where steel was required." His eyes drift to the constellation where Skeletor's star still burns with frustrated ambition. "Don't worry, Lord of Destruction. You'll get another chance. Someday." A new roster begins to shuffle. They always do. And the Zurubang prepares for the next battle. Because there's always a next battle.